You're listening to 88.7 WLUW Chicago Sound Alliance, broadcasting from the campus of Loyola University. Next up is the Live from the Heartland show, featuring hosts Michael James, Katy Hogan, and Thom Clark. Today we'll be having conversations with Jen Walling from the Illinois Environmental Council, and George Freeman, Joanie Sparrow, and Sparrow from Chicago's own Southport Records, and they will be discussing George Freeman's new CD, George the Bomb. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the show.
Hey, brothers and sisters. Let's get ready for another edition of Live from the Heartland, and that's Kev Moe, Stand Up and Be Strong, and he's bringing us in. We're going to have a great show. It's 420 Day, it's Earth Day, and it's a couple days post the Mueller report, so let's get ready for Live from the Heartland. Good morning, Katy. Good morning, Thom.
Good morning, Michael, and welcome back.
Welcome back, Michael. Nice to have you.
Good to be back. Sorry my brother passed, but I was really glad I got to be there with him for the last couple of weeks, and it's something to watch and something to think about. We all go down sooner or later. And here we are with a radio show, and we're glad to be doing it.
So what do you think about what that Attorney General of the U.S., the lawyers...
Not much, Tom, not much in the short term.
Why not?
Well, let's see. I think he's supposed to be your and my lawyer.
No, really?
As opposed to the president's lawyer. So, his giving his version before anybody even saw, much less the real version, the redacted version. Did anybody see the Colbert thing on this the other night?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Excellent.
For
Thank
the
God
record,
for those guys.
I don't know why we're obfuscating, except it's classic lawyerly stuff using this word redaction. Let's call it what it is, censorship.
Yeah, there you
Ooh.
go.
We paid for the report, and we can't get what the report says. That's called censorship.
Well, I'll tell you what. I certainly have heard the word impeachment used a lot in the last 2 days.
Impeachment.
Yeah, get used to it.
I don't think Congress knows how to spell that word, you know?
Congress does.
Some of them
We'll
don't.
see if the Senate does.
I call it the mendacity of redaction, or Mueller light. And until I see the whole report, I actually don't want to talk about it much more. We've known all this stuff for a while.
Next week, we'll be back with more on the Mueller report.
I thought it was interesting this week, of course, the terrible fire that started at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris brought all kind of outcry and, moaning and wringing of hands, which is good and true. I understand. I was in that building myself. However, the three Baptist churches torched in a hate crime a couple weeks ago really gained from that happening because people realized, oh, my God, here go millions of dollars for Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, and three Baptist churches in Louisiana had not had a GoFundMe had a small GoFundMe, which gained in the day after the Notre Dame fire $1.5 million in donations.
Interesting note on that. It was the son of a sheriff,
Right.
and the sheriff actually turned his kid in.
Yeah, that is an interesting note. Thank you for adding that. There is, though, a white supremacist unrepentant who also torched the Highlander Center, which both of my co-hosts have been in various times, an incredible center on teaching and organizing and
In North Carolina.
We could do a show on this in the future, Michael, about our visits to Highlander Center. But for folks who don't know, it's a famous training for nonviolence on a variety of issues, but came to some prominence during the civil rights movement. People like Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks took trainings there.
In further explode your head kind of news, the White House will not nominate anyone from the U.S. to serve on the UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination.
We don't have any more.
Yeah, after not renominating the Obama appointee, who has been herself openly critical of the administration.
The comb-over guy.
Yeah. Like they think that problem's solved. Expect.
Well, we don't need to worry about voting rights curtailment anymore either in southern states because that doesn't happen anymore.
So the other thing that brought me hope that the California National Guard will not discharge their trans troops in direct opposition to the call from number 45.
Also, though, on the border, the New York Times reported this morning that a militia had vigilantes basically had detained 300 people who'd crossed the border into New Mexico around seeking asylum. And so the ACLU is on it, the New Mexico state government's on it, and I'm sure it will be in the news throughout the day.
Listeners, we have a whole batch of events and important meetings and other forums you can participate over the next couple of weeks as spring breaks and all this stuff starts happening, beginning with Rogers Park kickoff for Bernie Sanders on April 27th at Teal Room at Pub 626, 1:30 p.m.
Actually, before that day, today, there's dunes restoration happening at Loyola Beach, as it does every month. And this is their Earth Day contingent. So if you're hearing this, put on your shoes, put on your warm thing, because it's still cooler by the lake, and go and tend to our beautiful dunes restoration area. That's all day from 10 till about 1 today.
And squeeze in a trip to the lake, because tomorrow it's going to be really warm and summery, but today it's blustery and shiny and
Lots
big
of waves.
Hey, and if anybody knows what happened at Diversey, text me, because there's a huge thing going on there with police cars, and one of the major lights, the old-fashioned Art Deco lights that are on the bridge over the entry to the harbor there, is not up anymore. It was down. So
A lot of police cars as we pass by, turning our necks to the left.
Indeed. Okay, a couple quick things.
We have
Quick, come on.
We have an opening exhibit for the P.O. Box Collective taking place next Sunday, April 28th at 4 p.m. This is a very interesting new venture going on in the neighborhood. Check it out. We urge you to sign up, attend, join, participate in the Loyola Park Advisory Council meeting. They generally happen every month on Wednesdays, this time May 8th at 6:30. You can volunteer for Artists for the Wall, which is the next big thing coming up.
That's at 6:30 on May 8th. One of the couple of environmental stories going into our first guest. There's a great little video online produced by Naomi Klein, featuring AOC and cartoons about the Green New Deal. So we'll cover more on that later. I'm a little concerned about hearing that Donald Trump is putting himself.
You used his name, Kate.
I know. Versus Boundary Waters. He's trying to open foreign mining interests access to the Boundary Waters, which many of us in Chicago have paddled on or love dearly as one of our nearest great wilderness areas. This should not be allowed to stand.
This is pristine land he just wants to grab away from the rest of the public.
Our friends at Kartemkin Films just got a Peabody Award, which we'll talk about when we bring some Kartemkin folks on. But They're doing great work, producing great documentaries, and people should really know about them and pay attention.
And lastly, maybe?
We'll see.
Promise to Protect Tour hits Chicago May 4th and 5th. There's info at 350chicago.org about taking those trainings, which is about committing to protect pure water sources all over the Midwest. So I think that's it. I think we need to bring on our guests, right?
You're listening to Live from the Heartland on WLUW Chicago 88.7 FM and at WLUW.org. Please check us out on YouTube.com/HeartlandMedia.